Are you ready to stop feeling stuck, lost, or confused about what to do next in your career? Then the Manifest Your Career podcast is just right for you. With me, your host, Dr. Norma Reyes. The Manifest Your Career podcast offers you career advice that integrates your mind, body, and spirit. It's time you start listening to your own inner guidance. Tune in each week to learn how to combine your intuition, strategy, and logic so that you can manifest the career of your dreams. Hey everyone, welcome back. This is episode 85, and today is all about letting go of your perfectionism. I'm going to let you sit with that word for a second there. How does that feel to you to be called a perfectionist? I know I don't consider myself a perfectionist, but honestly, there's definitely some ways that I'm a perfectionist. And why might you be in denial of being a perfectionist? Because it has become a way of being for you. So take a moment and think about that for a second. It has become a way of being for you. And in this masculine driven world, it can lead you to be successful, but it can also lead you to burnout, overwhelm, exhaustion, something that none of us really want. And if you've been in that masculine energy, if you've been continuing to constantly push yourself beyond your energy levels, beyond your balance of masculine and feminine energy, because we all have our own certain mix that works for us, then you're going to end up feeling overwhelmed. You're going to end up feeling burnt out. You're going to end up feeling not great. So what I have found is in working with my clients is that many of them may not think that they are perfectionists. You may not think you're a perfectionist, but it might be because you have this idea that a perfectionist is a person who is inflexible, who will only do things their own way, that are just too into the details. And some perfectionists might be too into the details, but that really has nothing to do with perfectionism. Being detailed oriented does not equal perfectionism. It just means that you like catching the tiny details. A perfectionist is a person who will not take action until the time is right, until you're in the right place or the right job or the right, whatever excuse that you put on doing something. That is a perfectionist, not the person who is looking at the details and making sure that there's not a typo. A perfectionist is a person who does not take action because the atmosphere, the ambiance, the whatever is not right. So take a moment to think about, are you doing that? Are you stopping yourself from taking action in your career because the time's not right, because you're not in the right place, you're not in the right role, you're not in the right whatever? Because then you can start to have the awareness that you have been allowing perfectionism to stop you from taking the action that you want. Why does perfectionism happen? How do we become perfectionists? Part of it is proving ourselves that we are enough. And it could be conditioning at home, it can be conditioning at school, overall society, wherever it came from. We all do it to some extent. Some people just have a harder time taking that action without knowing what the results will be. So for example, if you want to apply for a job, it looks great, but you're not sure you're going to get an interview. So instead of applying to the job, you're like, I don't think I'll get an interview. I'm just not going to apply. Or say that there's a whole list of jobs that you're interested in, and 9 out of 10 of those jobs, you're like, it's just not right. It's just not right. So I'm going to apply to this one job. And then 6 months pass and you're just like, they never called me back. I applied to one job that I thought was the perfect one and they didn't call me back. And I'm also not saying to apply to 100 jobs. That's another episode. But I want you to recognize where you are using perfectionism or the need for things to be perfect before you take action. That should be the new definition of perfectionism. The need for things to be perfect before you take action, which is completely unrealistic. I actually just was listening to an old video of mine. It's called Start Living Your Life, Stop Waiting on YouTube. And I talk all about that, about not waiting for the right time to do what you want to do to live your life, because what are you waiting for? Ask yourself, what are you waiting for? A lot of times we're waiting for this perfect ideal time that's never going to happen. Never ever. Like today, right now, I woke up a little early. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to record some episodes. Of course, the 3-year-old woke up, and I'm really just hoping and praying that he ain't going to come through that door while I'm recording, because everyone else is asleep and he likes to have people with him. I did tell him I'm working, so hopefully he doesn't pop in here, but he might. And had I waited, it's just going to get louder in the house with everyone else awake. And then I will become frustrated. And then I won't do it today. And then I have to wait. And then I have to wait. And then my podcast editor is getting it on a Sunday night. And she's like, I'll try to get it to you by tomorrow night, which is not fair to her, right? She ain't just waiting for me to send her a podcast episode. So I cannot wait for the perfect time to record. I have to record when I have time. And I'm not going to say hope for the best, because most of the time everything goes really well. That's the other part of it. We're like constantly making things a bigger thing than they need to be. We're like, oh my God, I got to wait for the perfect time. And then, you just do it and you're like, oh, that actually worked out better than I thought. So ask yourself, where are you waiting for the perfect ingredients to start taking action? And then start taking action despite whatever is going on, despite it not being the right time, the right place, the right job, the right position, the right whatever, and start moving forward. Get yourself unstuck of where you are. When you are in this feeling of I cannot move forward, you're doing maybe way too much work, working later than others. Maybe you're even like turning shit in late because you're like, dang, I can't turn in this mess. No, turn in what you got. If corrections need to happen, they will come back to you. That's basically how I did my dissertation. I was like, this is as good as it's going to get. And if I need to fix it, I will come back and fix it. And that's it. Like, I'm not going to sit here an extra 2 hours racking my brain as to why I haven't submitted this dissertation paper yet. This is what happens a lot to academics. They end up, taking 2-3 years, maybe even 10 years to write their dissertation because they get stuck in that perfectionism mode. And it is just self-sabotage. But we all do this, not just academics. It's just, it's easier to point out that they might be doing it because we can see that it's something they are solely responsible. And if you're thinking of getting your PhD, being self-accountable is 100% the number one thing you need to be able to be. And if you can't do that, I would say wait until you can hold yourself accountable, because no one can make you do anything but yourself. So back to your career, back to manifesting your dream career. You're not going to do it being stuck in this mode of everything needs to be perfect. And what is going on is that you are sabotaging yourself and you're actually minimizing everything, right? You're minimizing your perfectionism by saying it wasn't the right time, or it wasn't the right place, or it wasn't the right job. Those things happen. Missed opportunities do happen. But when you are actually taking 0 shots out of 100, then you have to recognize that it is you, not that you took 100 shots and didn't make one. Now I want to go shoot 100 shots, see how many I can make. I might do that. It's kind of wet outside though. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted on that. Bucket list item. Shoot 100 shots. How many will I make? And then if you listen to this episode, send me a DM as to how many you'll guess that I'll make.
Challenge accepted.
Anyway, okay, let's go back. Stop blocking your abundance and start coming to peace with the fact that you want things to be perfect and that will never happen, and start moving forward. Accept it. Be like, okay, for example, and what made me think about this last night was that I wanted to do some journaling, and I grabbed a couple of the journals that I have, and then I was like, well, I don't want to write in this one, and I don't want to put it in this one. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? What the hell does it matter which journal? My thinking was like, I want to be able to come back to this information and know where it is. Does that really matter as to like, does my future self need to know where I wrote something? Or is it more important that I just write whatever I wanted to write on and journal on and answer some questions that I have? And it's funny thinking about it now, right? Like, what? But we do this to ourselves, right? We're like, no. And I do this to myself a lot in books. So I am notorious for reading about like 10 books at one time. And what happens is that I will get to a point where the book requires me to journal, the book requires me to work on an activity. And instead of just doing it like as soon as I possibly can, because maybe it's like, I don't know, 10 p.m. and I'm about to go to bed, so I'm not going to do it. So instead of doing it the next morning when I have free time, it has to feel the right time for me to do it. I'm like, not really in the mood for that. Then I find myself stopping in these books and then not returning back to them because I'm like, oh, it's not the time. I'm not ready for that. When actually I could just move forward and move past it. And actually, now that I think about it, there are several books that I have finished that had activities that I just read the activity and was like, okay, well, it might be something I go back to later, but I finished the book. So that is a great example of how we do it in different parts of our lives. Maybe there was a book that I didn't feel like the activities were going to, I don't know. I'm trying to think about that. I'm reflecting that here with you guys. Maybe the books that I did finish, one of them was like about angel guides and it had activities that I didn't do. But another one, it was more like the shadow work. Shadow work. The books that require me to do some shadow work are the ones that I stop on. Okay. I got a universe. I guess I see what we're doing here. All right, guys. Well, there you go. Do some self-reflection. Why are you stopping? What are some things that you are doing? Maybe you are brushing up your resume constantly, but you're not actually networking. Maybe you're networking constantly, but you're never brushing up on your resume. Or maybe you are getting interviews, but not actually reflecting on what you could have done better in an interview. There's so many different things, and those are like the more tangible things, but also look at your mindset. What is your mindset saying during those times? If I go back to my journaling example, my mindset was like, oh, that's not the right journal. That's not the right one. You just gotta tell yourself, shut up. Let's keep going. Let's keep this going. And you guys just heard me sing. Oh my gosh. I don't know. My podcast editor is gonna be like, what was she drinking today? Coffee. Coffee today. Okay. Now, let's stop blocking your abundance and start coming to peace with it. I'm going to give you some steps today so you can start letting go of your perfectionism. I want you to journal today. Take out any journal. It doesn't have to be the right journal or one that's meant just for this. Take out any old piece of paper journal that you got and start writing. Write about how it makes you feel to have to do things the right way, right? Whatever way that you are feeling that it has to be done, write about how you feel about that. And then the next thing I want you to do is I want you to write on how it makes you feel to not be able to make a decision in your career, not being able to make a decision on your next career move. So take a moment to do that. Pause here. Okay. And hopefully you paused and you're back. And if you didn't, make sure you come back to take a pause and journal on that. So you've now finished journaling. I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath. Hold it and release. Take a few more deep cleansing breaths. And even feel your body regulating itself, calming down, feeling peaceful and ready to take action. As you're breathing here, I want you to imagine yourself releasing what has been keeping you stuck. Feel that stuck energy, that tension leaving your body. Take a few more breaths. Good. Now open your eyes. Feel your energy. It will feel lighter. Enjoy this moment and allow yourself to take imperfect action. Start creating a career vision that feels good to you. And remember that your path is unique. It's okay for your career path to look different than those around you. It's okay to look like nothing you've ever seen before because there's not another you. You are you. I'm me. And my career path is going to look different than anyone else's. Yes, there might be some similarities, but yours will be absolutely unique to you. All right, guys. If this has been helpful to you, leave a podcast review on your favorite podcast host, such as Google, Apple Podcasts, Amazon. I truly appreciate it. And you can share this podcast with anyone that you feel might find it helpful. All right, guys, I'll see you on next week. Thank you for listening to the Manifest Your Career podcast. Are you ready to take action today? Visit manifestyourcareer.com to get started and schedule a free discovery call with me and gain clarity today.